This is why I train in martial arts. Dr. Boyce Watkins' edition of, I guess his latest edition of Intellectual Chakra, is talking about a black man who went to jail for defending himself with a firearm. And this shows why I don't believe this country wants us to be armed. I've said this. I've said, for me, I'm not going to use firearms as my first form of self-defense because I don't believe this country wants me to be armed. You know, because especially like where I live, when you start looking at the fine print about the rules to carry your firearm, you can't take it here, you can't take it there, you can't do this, you can't do that. And then if there's a race element on top of it, they don't want me to be armed. So I'm going to have to use empty hands as my primary go-to, even if it's multiple opponents. Now, check this out.
Where we talk about black issues with black people who care about the black community. And it's also the stuff that you don't get to see in mainstream media. Now, as we roll into the conversation, I want to say hello to my brother, Attorney Gerald Griggs out of Atlanta. Now, Gerald is the criminal justice co-chair of the Georgia NAACP. He's also the vice president of the Atlanta NAACP. So he's out here doing important work and fighting for our community. And I want to ask my brother, how you doing today, man?
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me, boys. It's an honor to be with you.
Oh, the honor is all mine, my friend. Now, you brought a case to my attention that I'm ashamed that I didn't know about it. It's the case of Jesse Murray, who was charged with shooting a police officer. Is that what was going on?
Yes, in 2014, Mr. Murray was at a bar in Clayton County called Benefields with his wife. And during the course of being at that bar, he was attacked by four inebriated individuals, one of which was an off-duty police officer. During the course of that altercation, Mr. Murray was able to get away from those individuals and go outside. He went outside, got his weapon, and went back in to go get his wife. Before he was able to get back into the establishment, the four individuals attacked him and viciously beat him to the point he almost lost consciousness. During the course of that altercation, he was able to get his gun and it accidentally went off, killing one of the individuals who was an off-duty police officer. During the course of that, the individuals continued to beat him. They fired 4 shots at him. And then once the police got there, while he was in handcuffs, they punched him again. Now, Mr. Murray was charged with murder and several other counts. None of the individuals who started the fight both times or who fired the shots or who assaulted him in police custody were ever charged with anything. Last year, his legal team, Maya Griggs and no relation, and Miley Davis filed a motion for stand your ground. That was denied by the judge, and he was forced to go to trial. During the course of the proceedings, Miley and Ms. Griggs contacted the NAACP and a lot of other organizations, including the Sister Care Alliance, and they decided we were going to pack the courthouse because given the nature of what's been going on in the criminal justice system, we felt the need to have the entire community there. So we reached out to the community and boy, did they respond. They packed out the courthouse during the stand your ground hearing. They packed out the courthouse during jury selection, and they packed it out for 3 days, which ultimately led the district attorney to make the decision to dismiss the murder counts against Mr. Murray because it was determined by the evidence he was simply defending himself. He did enter a plea agreement on the possession of a firearm and will get some probation, but he was facing a life sentence plus 25 years. And it just goes to show when the community comes together, especially in cases like this, where you have the underlying hint of racism in all the charging and what happened. When they come together and align around this, we can actually change the course of a case. It's one of the first cases in Georgia where a person was charged with shooting a police officer and that person ended up dying, that the person actually ended up not being convicted of murder. So Jesse is definitely profoundly happy about the outcome. He wants to turn his life into being an activist for other individuals. And he's just excited to be home with his family. And I'm just happy that the community showed up the way they know how to show up. And I think this is a symbol to the rest of the community with all of these police involved shootings going on, from Sandra Bland to Mike Brown to Philando, which still hurt my heart right now.
First of all, let me say that if it's 4 against 1, then I think you kind of deserve what you get. especially if the 4 was starting it against the 1. But this is where I think the black man may have had given the prosecutors some room to try to come up with something. You got to be blameless. Now, they said in other parts of the video, I'm going to put the link in the description, Georgia has stand your ground. So where I live in Maryland, we have a duty to retreat. So we don't have stand your ground. I think they were trying to say it wasn't stand your ground because the man left and came back. Not only did he leave and come back, he left his wife in there with these 4 hostile people and came back. I ran this by my SO, okay? And she was like, I think the couple should have just left. Yes, the couple should have just left. But since they didn't just leave, that's where I think the prosecutor might be trying to say, well, he should have left and then, you know, that shows he had time to think. And it's 4 against 1 though. Even if he did that, when he came back in the establishment, it's still 4 against 1. If they were reasonable, once he came back with the gun, they should have stopped. But see, he went and got the gun, and then they still attacked, and then one of them had a gun, and shots were fired from both sides, so you got blame on both sides. So I don't see this as a completely innocent brother being taken down by the man, but I wouldn't have convicted him because it was 4-on-1. I'm sorry. If it's 4 of you and it's 1 of him, then you deserve what you get because you shouldn't do that. And he was not attacking the 4 of you. So he wasn't attacking the 4 of them. They started it. And he just happened to finish it. But I do think he and his wife should have just left. Is that right that these 4 racists could possibly harass people to the point of leaving an establishment? No, that's not right. Of course that's not right. And that shouldn't happen. But we don't live in should. And fortunately, this black man had good legal representation. And I hope people continue to get good legal representation so people like me can feel like we can actually carry firearms and actually get decent trials. Because like I said, I don't think the society really wants me to be armed. Probably not just because I'm black. I don't think it really wants anybody to be armed except for, you know, people who are in law enforcement. But that thing called the Constitution just kind of, you know, messes things up for people. So, here's something else that Dr. Boyce Watkins was asking in regards to this situation.
Yeah. What do you think about that? What are some ways that we, as a community, can really challenge some of this?
Yeah, and I love Judge Olu. I mean, he said what a lot of us were thinking.
You want to know what I'm thinking?
Call 301-894-6616. You want to find out more? Go to cecilryu.org, cecilryu.org. Peace.